February 20th, 1943, north of Kasserine Pass. German tank commanders watched something that made no sense. Through dust and smoke, 5 American Sherman tanks moved across broken ground, together as if one machine. They had no visual contact, no flag signals, no messengers. Yet every turn, every shot, every move was in perfect rhythm. To the Germans, it looked like chaos with a strange kind of order inside it. Their own panzers tried to keep up. Commanders shouted into radios filled with static. Orders came half heard, half lost. The signal broke every few hundred yards. In the heat of battle, it meant silence.
German tanks used amplitude-modulated radios, AM, a system that turned every spark, every engine noise, every gunfire into interference. Their transmitters were weak, 10 watts of power, barely enough to reach across a small valley. Many tanks didn't even have transmitters, only receivers. They could listen, but never answer.
When one Sherman was hit, another instantly shifted position to cover it. When smoke blocked the view, radio guided them. They didn't guess where to move, they knew. What the Germans didn't realize was that this invisible connection, those unseen radio waves, were more powerful than armor or firepower. At Kasserine Pass, the Americans lost the battle on the ground, but revealed something far bigger, a new way to fight a war. They had built not just tanks, but a network.
The story of America's secret advantage didn't begin on the battlefield. It began in a lab, inside a small company in Chicago called the Galvin Manufacturing Corporation. Later, the world would know it as Motorola. In 1941, while German armies pushed deep into the Soviet Union, American engineers were fighting a different kind of battle, against noise, vibration, and bad connections. Radios in tanks often failed. Engines drowned out voices. Static made commands impossible to hear. An engineer named Daniel Noble had an idea: use frequency modulation, FM, instead of AM. It was cleaner, stronger, and harder to jam. His colleague, Henrik Magnuski, figured out how to make it work inside a tank. That was not easy. Tanks were hot, cramped, and full of metal that blocked signals, but they made it work. Their radio, the SCR-508, weighed about 180 pounds. It was heavy, but it turned every tank into a talking machine. Commanders could choose from 10 preset channels, switch quickly, and stay connected even in chaos. Each set had 2 receivers, so crews could listen to both company and platoon channels at once, something no German tank could do. By July of 1941, the U.S. Army standardized the SCR-508 for all medium tanks. Every Sherman coming off the line in Detroit carried one. From that moment, American tanks were no longer just vehicles. They were part of a living network.
When the first Shermans rolled into North Africa in late 1942, the difference became clear. German commanders saw tanks that seemed to think together. They didn't know it was because of the radio sets inside. That invisible system connected crews who had never met. It turned hundreds of tanks into one coordinated force, and that changed everything about how America fought. Blueprints couldn't show it. Training manuals didn't name it, but it was there, a silent thread running through steel and static, holding every Sherman together. The power wasn't in thicker armor or a bigger gun. It was in the ability to talk and to listen.
At first, even the Americans didn't realize what they had. Their new radios didn't just send messages, they changed how people fought. In North Africa, the Germans won the early battles.
Their tanks had thicker armor and better guns. But during the fight at Kasserine Pass, American crews started to see something the Germans couldn't: each other. Through their radios, they warned of ambushes, shared targets, and called for help. Units spread across 50 miles, fought like they were side by side. German officers listening in were shocked. They could hear every word, clear and strong, while their radios hissed and popped. They wrote reports calling the American communication unnatural. They didn't understand it was technology, not luck.
When American forces moved into Italy in 1943, radios became even more important. Mountains made it impossible to see other tanks or wave signals. But FM radios worked where sight and sound failed. Crews could coordinate from one valley to the next, like invisible hands guiding each other through the fog. Then came Normandy, D-Day. Sherman tanks rolled off landing craft with their radios already tuned to talk with naval gunfire and aircraft overhead. For the first time, land, sea, and air could move as one team. But soon they hit a new problem. Tanks and infantry couldn't talk directly. The soldiers' radios used different frequencies.
In the hedgerows of France, that gap was deadly. German soldiers with Panzerfausts could sneak close, while nearby American infantry had no way to warn the tanks. Crews found a simple fix. They bolted field telephones to the back of their tanks, wired straight to the intercom. A soldier could pick up the phone, yell "enemy ahead," and the gunner would fire in seconds. By the summer of 1944, this mix of smart engineering and quick thinking turned chaos into coordination. During Operation Cobra, hundreds of Sherman tanks moved like one machine. A single radio call could shift an entire attack. Artillery answered within minutes. The battlefield had changed. America wasn't just fighting battles anymore, it was orchestrating them.
By 1944, the secret of America's success was no longer a mystery to its own soldiers. Every tank crew knew that the radio was their real weapon. Factories across the country worked non-stop to build them. In Chicago, Motorola turned from making car radios to producing thousands of SCR-508 sets for the Army. Each one had over 2,000 tiny parts, wires, tubes, and crystals, built to survive heat, shock, and dust. By the end of the war, more than 50,000 radios had been made, enough for every single Sherman tank ever built. The result was total communication. Commanders didn't need to shout orders or send runners. They could create new battle groups on the move, mixing tanks, infantry, and artillery, and know everyone could talk instantly. It made the American Army flexible in a way the Germans couldn't imagine.
German units still relied on visual signals and strict hierarchy. Only a few of their tanks had full radio sets, so when a command tank was hit, the rest went silent. Their famous Panthers and Tigers had power, but not connection. The difference became clear in the Battle of Arracourt in September 1944. American Shermans faced the German Panthers, faster, stronger, deadlier. On paper, the Germans should have crushed them, but the Americans fought as a network. Every tank reported enemy positions in real time. Artillery responded within minutes. Tank destroyers struck from hidden spots, guided by radio calls. In 3 weeks, the 4th Armored Division destroyed nearly 300 German tanks and lost only 41 of its own, a 7-to-1 ratio that no one had thought possible. It wasn't luck. It wasn't better armor. It was communication.
While Germany built better tanks, America built better teamwork. While they trusted steel, America trusted the signal.
The invisible network that started with one radio model had become a weapon more powerful than any gun. And it was only the beginning.
By 1945, the power of connection reached its peak. When American troops reached the Rhine River, their radios turned chaos into control. At the bridge of Remagen, a single message sent by radio changed the course of the war. Within minutes, commanders hundreds of miles away knew the bridge was still standing. Within an hour, whole divisions were moving to seize it. The Germans couldn't react. Their phone lines were bombed, their radios weak and full of static. Orders came too late. At the same time, American tanks from different units talked freely, sharing positions and targets as if they were one team.
Soon after, in the Ruhr pocket, 300,000 German troops were trapped. Their lines of communication had collapsed. They fought bravely, but without coordination, every battle turned into confusion. American air and ground units, linked by radio, closed the trap tighter every hour. When the war ended, Allied engineers studied captured German tanks. What they found was shocking. The technology inside was 5 years behind. German radios were fragile, unstable, and easily jammed. The Americans had moved into a new age without even realizing it. That invisible leap changed warfare forever. The same ideas that powered the SCR-508 lived on in every tank and aircraft that came after it, from the Cold War to the Gulf War, from analog waves to digital signals. Modern armies still followed the same rule that was born on those dusty fields in North Africa. Communication beats armor.
Field Marshal Wilhelm Keitel is said to have summed it up at Germany's surrender. "You built better teamwork. We built better tanks." True or not, the words capture what happened. America didn't just make 49,000 Shermans. It made 49,000 connected machines, the first battlefield network in history. From that moment on, the strongest weapon was not steel or firepower. It was the ability to stay connected. Connection means survival. Isolation means defeat. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, turn on the notification bell, and leave a comment.